The notion of a deadly alien monster attacking a spaceship is nothing new, but the Alien franchise made its mark and proved to be unique and entirely terrifying because the monster's appearance changes every time it's been seen. All throughout this franchise, audiences have been shown the alien's life cycle, from egg to face hugger to chest burster, then finally adult. And the prequel series has explored the idea of this creature's evolution, its constant state of evolving, and Alien Romulus continues this horrifying trend. All right, creepy peeps, welcome back. Today we are talking about Alien Romulus, which I know a lot of you guys were anticipating coming out this year. This is directed by Fede Alvarez, and the movie starts on the mining colony of Jackson's Star, and we're introduced to Rain, an orphan young woman working to leave the colony with her adoptive brother Andy, who is a malfunctioning synthetic. Rain's ex, Tyler, offers Rain a way to leave Jackson's Star and go to Yvaga, a planet with improved living conditions. Rain, Andy, and Tyler, along with Tyler's sister Kat, his cousin Bjorn, and Bjorn's girlfriend Navarro, they fly to what they think is a derelict spacecraft orbiting Jackson's Star to scavenge the ship's cryopods to make the journey to Yvaga. Every Alien movie has presented us with a different kind of synthetic or artificial persons and various characters' relationships with them. I feel like Romulus has one of the most unique in the character Andy, who was found and reprogrammed by Rain's father before he passed. And he's programmed with a primary objective to basically do anything that's within Rain's best interest. So he keeps her company, tells dad jokes, essentially is just making sure she's happy all the time. And I had conflicting feelings about Andy. I feel like a lot was put on Andy as a character, and it sometimes kind of rubbed the wrong way given that Andy is the only black character in the movie. Rain and Tyler, to an extent, treat Andy like a child. His malfunctions could read like neurodivergence, if I'm being honest. And Bjorn is flat out vicious to Andy. We learn later that Bjorn's mother was killed in a mining accident that involved a synthetic. And Andy isn't the only synthetic in the movie. The crew encounters Rook, who is a severely damaged synthetic that was left on the space station, Romulus. Rook is played by an insanely CGI'd deep fake of Ian Holm, who was in the original Alien movie. So Rook uses Andy to his advantage after Rain uploads a new chip to Andy to give him clearance throughout the space station. The chip changes Andy's main objective from do what's in Rain's best interest to doing what's in the company's best interest, making him a semi-villain character for a little while. I just felt like it was a lot to put on this one character to create some extra conflict and plot advancement. And Andy becomes the plot advancement with this update because it's through him and Rook that we learn what they were doing on the space station. Essentially, we learned the previous crew of the Romulus had collected the xenomorph that was floating out in space from the rubble of the Nostromo, and they were experimenting on it and extracting its DNA and doing trials on other animals. The objective for the company being to speed up human evolution, so to speak, to make humans impervious to injury, harm, disease. And their obvious objective for doing this is so that people can work longer and forever and forever. The villain is always capitalism, gang. And it's through this extracted alien DNA that we get the latest in the evolution of the xenomorphs. So the serum that was developed on Romulus needs to get back to the company somehow. That's Rook's objective. And so a bunch of vials of it are given to Kay, Tyler's sister, to get it back to their ship and take it back to the company. But she's in a bad way after being attacked by a xenomorph. So she ends up taking one of the serums to try and heal herself. But because she is pregnant, her fetus develops at an alarming rate, and she gives birth to one of the most horrifying things I have ever seen. It's like a a human xenomorph hybrid that almost kind of looks like the engineers also. It's got the same like pallor and same kind of like weirdly bemused look on its face. Rain ends up dumping that abomination out of the cargo hold and into the asteroid belt. So hopefully that thing got shredded and we never have to see that again in any future Alien movies. But that leads me to what made Alien Romulus really stand out to me. And that is its take on human reproduction. And this franchise has really always been about sex, like subtextually. The whole like MO of xenomorphs is to pervert the reproductive systems of the species that they take over. In this franchise is mostly humans. So they're taking over the human reproduction system. And they do so regardless of biological sex. And that's always been a thing. But Romulus was so gory and I'm gonna sound a little ridiculous, but yonic. It was yonic as fuck. There was vulvas all over this thing. The one scene that really stood out to me, and I'm like looking around the theater I'm like, are y'all seeing this? Was the sequence following Navarro's like chest burster scene. And the chest burster kind of goes into like another kind of like egg-like sac before it emerges as the fully formed adult. But when you see the thing it's in, there's no other way to describe it. It looks like a vulva. It looks like birth is happening. There's no way that wasn't done on purpose. And then to make it better or worse, I don't really know, Bjorn, who's been like carrying around this like super long kind of like cattle prod thing this entire time, shoves it into this vulva looking egg, this vibrating, sparking taser thing to try and kill the alien. But like I'm watching it and I'm like, come on. And of course with that you have your phallic elements as well, like the face huggers, who we have seen before, and we know their MO. They insert their tentacles down a host's throat to reproduce. But the first face hugger attack in the movie was so sexual. We see the offending organ, as it were, like flapping and slapping around the characters' faces and mouths. And maybe I'm just immature, but I felt like they showed that for a reason. Like, why else include that? So I feel like in this movie they were really taking this sexual perversion via an alien species to a whole new level. I really felt the franchise's themes of loss of bodily control, as that's the xenomorph's MO when they take over another body to forcibly reproduce. And that makes even more sense because we learned the company is actively trying to alter humans' DNA to make them better workers. So they're doing so for their own ends. And this whole movie just made me squirm and made me grossed out, but I couldn't look away. So as a sequel or an interquel, whatever you want to call it, Romulus, I feel like it's trying to have the best of both worlds, taking the dread and horror of Alien and the action-packed fan favorite badassery of Aliens. And I think it mostly accomplished that, especially in the action department. The space station becoming a nesting ground for xenomorphs was terrifying, and I feel like this movie had to be the largest amount of face huggers and fully formed xenomorphs that we've ever seen in one Alien movie. Like, it was a true infestation. And with that came some really unique sequences, like the whole like don't breathe style scene where Rain and Tyler sneak through a room of face huggers, and Rain making her way through a maze of acid blood in zero gravity. And the more fan servicey elements were okay. I didn't particularly feel like they added to the movie, but I don't think they detracted either, with the exception of the "get away from her, you bitch" line. And maybe it was just my particular theater, that was met with utter silence. But when it came to the xenomorphs, I appreciated the dedication to practical effects as much as possible. And I think they looked great and super scary, as usual. So what's the verdict on Alien Romulus? Overall, I had a good time. I feel like they tried to bring something new to the table, and I feel like they were pretty successful in that. There were some potentially problematic elements for me regarding the Andy character, and the CGI Ian Holm was distracting as fuck, especially because his character was in the movie way more than I thought. Now I want to hear from you. What did you guys think of Romulus? Did it live up to the hype or did it fall short for you? Make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, check out my other reviews of new horror movies. Hit that subscribe button, keep the conversation going. I will see you next time, and until then, stay strange. Bye.